Welcome to the Estate Professionals Mastermind Podcast, a podcasting community by estate professionals for estate professionals, where we share the ideas and the access to people that help you work less, earn more, and do good in your community. If you get value in this free content, be sure to check out estateprofessionalsmastermind.com, where you can get live classes, access to weekly coaching, and free courses. To learn more, you can visit estateprofessionalsmastermind.com. Let's jump into this week's episode.
So good afternoon. Welcome. I'm Bill Gross. Welcome to our Probate Mastery Alumni Call. So we do this, and the goal of this is focused on real estate agent and brokering business. As a broker, I get a lot of my business from investors. I work with them all the time, my basic source of business, and wholesalers. And as a personal matter, I invest money in real estate. I'm an investor, but my primary business is brokering. And so the purpose of this call is how to use probate real estate as a niche or as a topic area to improve your real estate brokerage business. I thought, and now if you have questions, meant to be participative, so feel free to jump in, raise your hand, put a question in the chat box, whatever works for you. I'm glad to help. You're not going to get me off track. And if you do, I'll just mute you anyhow. No big deal. But I thought we'd just start off with just a quick topic that I wanted to talk about, which is referrals. So one of the things to think about in business is, are you in the business of selling to individual people, or are you in the business of selling to people who can refer you business? Are you in the business of, let's say, talking to sellers who can list with you as an agent, or are you in the business of talking to people who can refer you multiple people who need to sell over the course of a year, over the course of your career? And those are two different activities, not to say you can't do both. I do some of both. But my focus is always on referrals, because if I can make a relationship with somebody who can give me 2 listings a year or 3 listings a year, that's obviously more valuable than somebody who has a one-time sale. That's not to say that I don't get customers who refer me customers. And that's not to say I don't get customers who are repeat customers. But I am saying that in terms of building a business, it's a more leveraged way to focus on people who can refer me people rather than just one at a time. So referrals are critical. One referral source is attorneys, very heavily marketed in our industry. But there's numerous other referral sources. There's insurance agents, lenders, wealth management companies, trust attorneys who don't handle probate but avoid trust. There's just in general networking people that you can deal with. I know people who may are living, talking to adult living neighborhood salespeople because they know families are moving their parents in a house, no longer need the house. Is that technically a probate? No, but it's in the genre of probate, and there's some overlap. So we want to look for referrals, and so I thought I would have 3 thoughts on that to share with you guys today before we get started. And again, if you have questions, I see already in the chat box, feel free to put them in. Number 1 is, think of referrals like planting seeds. Take giving a referral out to somebody as serious as you want it. Meaning, I often see people refer somebody in a way that is not adding value to the person getting the referral and is not making it stick. So when I have a chance to refer somebody, I really think, can I really help this person by introducing to them to this other person that's a specialist? For example, today I had somebody call me about a probate litigation matter. And so I've worked on this, and what I find is that, you make referral, people don't follow through. I'll introduce it to. Now, attorneys, unlike other professionals, don't want the referral where they have to call the customer. The customer has to call the attorney. That's how most attorneys are. There might be in some offices administrative people or assistants who make those calls, but generally, attorneys want people to call them. And so my whole goal is to get the customer to call them. And so that means by pre-selling the customer on how good the attorney is. And in my case, I've probably interviewed the attorney, I have a video of them with me. I send them a link. Here's a link to a video I did with them to try to pre-sell the attorney before. So think of the referral as planting a seed. Now, I'm not a farmer. I'm obviously on the eating end of the food business, not on the growing end. But imagine when you have land that's expensive and you till it and you fertilize it and prepare it, And the seeds, I imagine, cost money, and you have some expensive equipment putting the seeds in. You don't just throw the seeds down. There's a whole method to the madness there. How deep is it? How much dirt? How much fertilizer? How much water? That's what I think of referrals as planting a seed. I want to plant the seed for the best possible return for my business, as well as helping the customer. Number one. Number two, the more specific, this is the biggest mistake people make. The more specific the referral, the more effective it is. Now, I manage, I guess by way of passing, I should have said this before. So this program is for the Estate Professionals Mastermind, be found at probatemastery.com. And we have an alumni Facebook page, Probate Mastery Alumni, with 1,600 members in it that you're all welcome to participate in. And I see there people asking questions for help, and I see they're looking for referrals as well. And we should all participate in that. And then additionally, I have my own. I have my own program, Probate Weekly, for realtors. I interview people on that call. And I have my own Facebook group, Probate Experts. I have 2,300 members in that group. And I have another group, I'm with EXP Realty, and I built within them another Facebook group with about over 2,000 members. But I see this mistake all the time. Somebody says, I need a probate attorney in the state of blank. And someone come back, well, oh yeah, Joe Smith. And I think, well, how could you possibly know that's the right connection? Just in probate, there's probate administrative attorneys and there's probate litigation attorneys. And some do both and some never do the other. And you really want the best attorney for your client to get the best result, for them to get paid and you to get paid. Same with real estate. I see all the time, oh, I need a real estate attorney. There's a lot of attorneys that get calls on about real estate, but real estate could be real estate that's owed in probate or in a trust, or it could be dispute on the line, could have to do with lot lines and partition actions. Eviction can relate to attorneys. And so the mistake I find all the time is just thinking an attorney is an attorney, which does not serve the attorney they're calling, doesn't help the customer who's getting the connection. More importantly, you're missing the chance to really help the person. The chance to help them is, well, tell me, what state are you in? What county are you in? Tell me a little bit about the matter so I can find you the right referral, the right CPA is another one I get all the time. Oh, I need a CPA. Do you need a CPA or you need a tax preparer? There are many tax preparers who use a CPA for the branding of it, but they're not really you're not doing audited financials, so you'll need a certified accountant. You just need an accountant. And so you want to be as specific as you can when you make referrals, that you're saying to the right person. And if you don't know who the right one is, find the right one. In fact, in this call regularly, and on the coaching regularly, people say to me, well, I can't really do business because I don't have a deep enough Rolodex of all the people on my team. How do you get them? One is by taking these opportunities to find the right person on your team. And if somebody needs a attorney who specializes in partition actions, go find one, talk to them on the phone, pre-vet them, and then bring them back to your client. Now, not just talking about in Facebook group posts and those things. I'm talking about how you act with your clients. When a client calls you and says, do you know an attorney that blah, 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 don't say no. Say, you know what? I know a lot of attorneys. Let me find the right one to get back to you. And now you can spend the next couple hours on one hand helping your customer. On the other hand, you have now a reason to call these attorneys to try to find the right one. So point number two is you want to be specific on your referrals with the right person. And if you don't have the right answer, get the right answer. And I know that do I sound like I'm an old man? I guess I am an old man. In my day, when I asked my mom, who was a teacher, Mom, how's this word spelled? She said, go look up the dictionary. And then she'd watch me to make sure I got the dictionary, and I had to tell her how I spelled it. Right? So I guess I'm kind of saying that to you too. Do the work, but I promise you, if you do that work, it'll be beneficial to you. That's number two. Number three is this is about building a business relationship. So if it's appropriate to do it, how does the person getting the referral want the referral? Do they want an email introducing both of you with all your contact info? Depends. Some do, some don't. Like lenders love that, right? To my experience, lenders like hey, Joe, this is Bob, my buyer. Joe's my mortgage lender. Here's his contact info. I'm showing Bob property in Orange County, blah, blah, blah. That's how lenders like to get it. And then I'll call or text the lender, make sure he got it. Attorneys like the customer to call them. A little harder to do. But you want to build a relationship with both parties, your customer, you're creating value for them, and the attorney. We think, oh, well, I just want to give them a name of somebody. What do I get out of it? They're using an attorney, but they're not using me to sell the property. That's the wrong approach. You can have anything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want. That's from Zig Ziglar, my first coach. So let me recap those 3 points. 1, look at referrals as planting seeds. Take the referral process outbound as seriously as you want referrals inbound. It will never exceed. You'll never get more referrals than you give. You'll never get in the long run more and better quality than you give. I get asked every day, we all do. Every realtor on this call, I'm sure, has got a phone call in the last week from a lender. Hey, can you refer me your buyers? I have great programs. I get mortgage lenders asking to come on my podcast. Can I come on and pitch my program to you? No, I've worked hard to build the audience. What value are you creating for my audience? How are you helping me build the audience? So number 1 is planting. You look at referrals as planting seeds. Take the outbound as seriously as you want the inbound. Number 2, be specific. Now, I'll be honest with you, I don't use any tools in the household. I call my son-in-law over and he does everything. But I do know there's multiple types of wrenches and multiple types of screwdrivers and multiple types of hammers. Use the right tool for the right job. And I only say that because I heard him say that. But same with referrals, attorneys and CPAs. There's the right attorney for the right job and the rest are the wrong one. And sometimes it's a relationship. It's male, female. It's, city versus suburban. It's, personality, speaking Spanish. Number 3 is look at this as an opportunity to build a relationship on both sides with the customer or prospect and with the outbound referral source, the attorney, the accountant, or whoever. You want to build relationships on both sides. So you're planting the relationship with who you're giving the referral to, as well as the person you're giving it for. Okay, that's my soapbox today on referrals. Those are my 3 points. I'm sticking to them. Okay, let me go back to chat. If you have questions, raise your hand or unmute yourself. In the meantime, I'll go to the chat box. We got quite a few here already. What would you do to start over? I relocated to Arizona and will be activating my license PDQ. Terry Hunter. Terry, remind me, where did you come from? You're going to Arizona? Orange County, California? And I'm sorry, I should remember, but I just don't remember anything anymore. I just find the easiest way for my brain to keep active, to have room to process, is not remember anything. So I pretty much try not to remember anything. Okay, so yeah, Terry, Colorado, right, Terry? So here's what I would say. First off, I get asked this question a lot on relocation. Number 1, you do business in both locations. Are you still going back to the old location? There are people who are.
I'm from Southwest County, south of Irvine. And yes, as soon as I get my license established here, I want to re-expand back to Orange County and work both areas.
Got it. Good. Yeah, Terry, Orange County, California.
The whole thing remotely, with me and VAs and assistants, and I'll do the only negotiating because there's a conflict of interest if you have 2 agents in the same office or, with EXP, for example, and the same broker is supposedly representing the buyer and seller. So one of my calls to action is I never represent buyer and seller, only one or the other. And so that's what I'm trying to establish.
Great. Love to help with that. So a couple of things to think about there. And I can also, personally speak to my mistakes along the way of relocating, because I relocated, in my case, from the San Gabriel Valley, Diamond Bar, to Los Angeles about, 25 years ago. But I really wasn't very thoughtful or objective and strategic in how I did it. So a couple of things I would say. Number 1, I would keep the old market. I sold 100 houses or 100 pieces of property in the last 3 years, thereabouts. I've only been to 3 of them, I think. And I only went to those to meet my client because I wanted to meet with them and I knew they'd be there, not for any other reason. right? It's more efficient for me to meet him at the house than it was to take him to lunch. That's the only reason I've ever gone to a property in the last 3 years. So it can be done. I'm telling you, it can be done.
That is super valuable to know that somebody has already done what I'm thinking of doing.
Right. I remember years ago, I started in the business in 1986, and around 1988 or 9, I heard of about a realtor in Big Bear, and I was a lender at the time. He was in Big Bear, and he sold houses up there, and a tremendous volume, and he very rarely had the customers sign the papers with him. They either came and saw the house and negotiated later. And he talked about the power of Federal Express. And I learned back in those days when FedEx was a newer thing, the power of the FedEx envelope. And I learned how to make my envelopes look better. I would pick up a bunch of the envelopes. And I started doing loans without ever meeting customers in person by using FedEx. And when COVID hit, and everybody either knew how to e-sign or had somebody who could help them walk through it, I just jumped all over that. And even though I'm in LA and most of my listings are near me, it just doesn't make sense. I have houses that are 15 minutes from my house I never went and saw. It just doesn't make sense economically. Driving back and forth, you don't make any time, you only spend money, right? You can't get paid driving. And for me, I don't know why in LA our cell service is so bad. I've changed cell providers numerous times. I have a brand new Apple. I had the newest model up into the most recent 13 Pro Max. I got a brand new in my car Bluetooth thing, and still it's hard to do business in a car phone versus at my desk, not as optimal. And so I just found driving was just dead time, and I'm paying money for a car and gas, and I don't like it. I don't like driving around. So I just have eliminated driving as much as I can from my work day. Driving with my wife, fine. Driving with my daughter and grandson, great. Driving along Malibu on a Sunday, okay, fine, great. Driving to a house to meet an inspector, that's all dead time there and back. So I would urge you to take a look at your business, and I wouldn't give up anything I had in Orange County. Number one, I wouldn't back off 1 inch. Number one. Number two, you mentioned EXP. I don't know if you're with us or not, you're in process, but one advantage we have is we have one cap for both states, for any state you want to work in. So I have agents who are in my downline throughout the country. And the advantage of that is, we have one $16,000 cap. So make sure you organize your business, whether it's EXP or not, organize your business appropriately for a multiple state business. Be strategic about it. And what does that mean? Your branding, your email, everything has to look the right way. Do you have two markets or do you have one market that you don't really get into the details on? You have to think that through strategically. Now, know the right answer for you. I'm telling you, you need to have the right answer. Number three, if you are relocating from Orange County to Arizona, now I happen to know the answer, do you think other people are looking to relocate from Orange County to Arizona? And particularly maybe people in your demographic group, i.e. like me, you're a little on the mature side. Are there other people on the mature side who live in Orange County and go, man, if I could move to a state with lower taxes, lower housing costs, lower whatever, right?
I just bought the name CA-AZ, and that's part of what I have in mind is never mind the unemployed, the unhoused, get rid of your house, pocket the money and come. Don't go to Phoenix.
Now, the danger is you don't want people in California to think that you're never around, because you and I might know that you can be in both places. So they need to see you in both places. Your California people need to see you whenever you're in California. And they need to know you're taking care of California business. So what that means to me is any property in the beginning, if you're here in Orange County, anytime you're around, shoot video here in Orange County.
Well, the other thing is, and this might be useful to somebody else on the call too, is I've had some pretty good success with, I don't know if you say it Shoami or Shoami or what it is, but for 30 to 50 bucks, if you're out of area, you can get somebody to show a house. You can get somebody to go and do a walkthrough with a video so that you can produce it by Zoom for yourself, but
right.
Have somebody there to make you smart about the property.
That's what I do for all my listings. I pay somebody usually about 25 bucks an hour, maybe I'll pay them 2-hour minimum, $50 to walk. There's an endless supply of agents who, frankly, I coach them. They should be using it to market themselves too. So walk through and take my video and send it to me, and then you can do whatever you want with it to market it. And newer agents need those opportunities. And I basically trade some cash and my mentorship to get them to do things for me in person. But again, I would emphasize anytime, if you're moving to Arizona, let's say full-time, anytime you come back to Orange County for anything, shoot as much video as you can and then space it out so that your Orange County people see that you are around occasionally, right? If you only come for Christmas, I would shoot a bunch of videos and space them out one a month about something you're doing related to real estate while you're here in Orange County. Okay.
The one thing that I'm most concerned about is signing up a listing, because I'm not going to handle buyers. I may have a buyer and a seller, but the buyer is going to say that I'm not their agent, and they're going to get a 1-point buyer cashback to cover their closing costs, or they can go to another agency and submit the offer that way. But that's one of the things that I have in mind, and that's why I needed remote people who will do it. But my question to you, how do you overcome is that, well, you want to list my house, where the hell are you? How come you're not here sitting at my kitchen table? How do you handle that?
Well, that's presuming that they expect you at the kitchen table to begin with. I haven't been to a kitchen table in 5 years. So I think it gets down to.
That's what I mean. How do you do that? How do you not have people want your body there in front of them if they're going to list their property with you?
I think it depends on, they want what you are creating a value in, and the people that I create value in a relationship with me, talking to me, guiding me. And if they say, I don't care if they're literally, 5 blocks away, I'd say, hey, Terry, look, we can meet if you want, but frankly, let me see the documents, take a look at it online. If you want to sign an e-sign, we'll be ready to go. So I don't even go anyhow if it's local. I do think the challenge that you have to overcome is knowing that property in the market. So you have to demonstrate, I think, extra knowledge. Every other realtor, I think, wants to talk about being the neighborhood expert. The reality is that's nonsense. To me, that's a marketing plan to use your listing, Terry, to get their next listing. I don't need your listing to get my next one. I want to put all my energy in getting your home sold. I know exactly what it takes to get your home in Anaheim Hills sold. That's what you want, right? You want your home sold? Let me help you with that. So I think you have to overcome that objection that every realtor is going to tell them, oh, you really have to be in the neighborhood. You have to be there every week. Do you have to be to sell a house? No. So all you need to do, one of my philosophies is there's 2 types of marketing. There's marketing that's false, that's easy to sell, but doesn't really work. And there's marketing that's truth, that's hard work, but actually works for the customer.
Well, part of that is my plan is to say, you don't want me driving buyers around and pounding in signs. What I do is I negotiate. And when I negotiate, you win. And that's my value to you.
Well, that's part. I also would say, do you want a real estate agent who has conflicts between you and the buyer that they're double ending? Or do you want an agent like me who's 100% focused on selling your house for top dollar, and I'll get every agent in the market the information they need to bring that buyer with top dollar for you? I think that's the difference. I think, but here's the thing you have to remember.
I won't buy your house because I can't represent you and me both either. So,
right.
I may find you a buyer for your house, maybe an investor type buyer. If you want cash now, quick, but it's not going to be me, because again, I can't look out for you and for me at the same time.
Right. So again, I think it just has down to, that's a standard objection we have to deal with always. And it's no different. I have the same challenge to overcome that you do. And I live here in Los Angeles. Doesn't make a difference to me at all. Now, I've listed property. I saw houses last year in 9 counties. I listed and sold properties in counties. I didn't even know the name of those counties before I took the listing. And I'm a lifelong Californian. And I'm a California history buff. So it has nothing to do with your location, I assure you. Okay.
This is one of the most valuable bits of information I've gotten in the past several months.
There you go.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Bill.
I appreciate it.
Thanks. That's very
Because
nice.
I've been up in the air on this, and I just love what you've got to say.
Thank you. Thanks, Terry. Well, if I can help, I'm here to help. Sean, you've had your hand up patiently here for a while. I'm sorry I didn't bring you in. Let's get you unmuted here. What's going on?
Hey, how you doing? What's going on,
Good.
Bill?
Good.
So you said that if you haven't been in people's houses, for me, I like how do you get a gauge on like how to comp their house out without like really looking at the heating system, the roof, the electrical panel, and just like the basic the basic foundations of the property.
Go ahead.
Like how do you do that?
Well, I think we all have our strengths and we all have our weaknesses. And so my weakness is like the contracting part of the job. I just don't really have a feel for the mechanics as I'm below average in those areas. I'm way above average on data analytics. So for me, I think that I can have a customer describe the condition. I have a pretty good sense by now, I've been at this for a while, that, nobody has a perfectly new heating, cooling system in an old rundown house. And if you ask them, is it going to tell you about it? And vice versa. Nobody's a brand new house where everything's upgraded and they have an old heating. It's usually consistent. And so for me, the variance of those things are where I want to play the majority of the game. I want to play the majority of the game where I can create the most value for the customer. Would I have a little more information if I went to the property? Of course.
Mhm.
Might that affect the pricing? It might. The other thing is that I think we as an industry and agents, I think, oversell the importance of the coming out of the gate, days on market. I think we do that as sometimes we have nothing else to talk about, so we make up stuff to talk about. My job is to get the seller the best outcome. And if worst case, I overprice it because I slightly missed the bad condition of it, within a couple of weeks, we're going to adjust the price and we'll hit the number at some point. So it's not that big a deal.
Okay. So do you basically just make them, not make them, but ask them to sign like a seller's disclosure, and that helps you get a better understanding of the year and the age of the equipment? Or do you guys do that in California?
Sometimes we have customers do inspections, professional inspections. Sometimes, I'll have an agent. So I see your hat with the XP. So if you know what Express Offers is, so
Yes.
Express Offers has a great checklist on property. I'll have a brand new agent that I'll pay by the hour to go in and complete that and take pictures and send that to me so I can see
Oh, man,
more
that's good.
complete. And so I might be paying $50 for somebody, but I end up with all the pictures I need and a detailed checklist of what I need. And sometimes I'll send Express Offers as well. But that's a great tool that you have available to you as well. And other people who have other companies, you have your own inspection sheet. But I think, there's certain fundamentals you need to get checked at some point. In many cases, in my business, being in probate, the seller has never seen the property either, or they just driven on the outside, or they don't really know much about it themselves. So it's not like we have to disclose as much as a retail buyer, as a retailer seller might have to. It's a different business.
Oh yeah. No, that's good, because when I was in Colombia, I literally got 2 contracts and I'm like, do I need to be in North America to,
No,
and I was like,
No.
man, I need to figure this out. So that when you said that, that made me think, like, how does he do it? So I can get some ideas.
you want a better outcome, ask a better question to ask Tony Robbins. I would say, what would you have to do to not have to be North America to sell more houses if you want to be outside the country? So find those answers. Look, I'm a realtor. I don't work Saturdays or Sundays. Now I do work. I say I work half a day Sunday. Sundays when I do my personal finances, and I do a piece of content. I spend about an hour and a half on work on Sunday, but I don't work at all on Saturdays ever. And I don't show property on Sundays. I don't go visit properties on Sundays. I'd ask myself, what do I have to do to organize my business to be able to do that? So I would ask you the same. What would you have to do to organize your business so that you don't ever need to be North America, or maybe rarely need to be North America?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Okay, Gail, you've had your hand up. Let me get you unmuted there and we'll get you in. What's up, Gail?
Thank you. Thanks, Bill, for all the information. I'm in Northern California, Palo Alto, Silicon Valley area.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the probates, you do go to the house. We end up doing, preparing the property for sale. And in Northern California, we do all the inspections ahead of time, and then we put a disclosure date. So I'm kind of, I'd love to be able to work like you work, but I don't know what's your price point that you're able to do that. Sometimes with lower price point, you're able to do that. We have 2, 5, $6 million homes here. And I don't think that, I would like to have the mindset, show me the way and I'll figure it out.
I sold a house in Oakland. Now it was lower price point. I think it was $800,000 or $900,000 last year. And I know I had realtors call me to tell me how life was in Northern California. And I said to them, "Well, you understand, I don't have to do that. So buy it or don't buy it. I don't really care." I think at some point that I don't organize my business based on what other realtors tell me I have to do. I organize my business on what best serves my customer. And so that's always the North Star, what serves the customer. And I would imagine, there's $6 million houses that are complete piece of garbage. They're going to be scraped and they're going to build a $50 million house on it here in LA or in Palo Alto, right? You have those, right? So does it really matter? Do you have fancy pictures with lighting and all the inspections done? They're going to scrape it anyhow. No. But so just because that's how people tell you to do things, I don't think you have to do it that way. You have to do what's best for your client. If it makes sense to have disclosures done ahead of time and inspection, of course, I always ask customers to do that. Some will, some won't. But if some customers just go through life, pushing everything up to a deadline, well, they're the customer. It's not me to tell them how they have to do things. My job is to recommend things to get what they want, and then they fit that into lifestyle. So I would just urge you, when agents tell you what has to be done a certain way, just make sure you're remembering who's in charge.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I would say that in Silicon Valley, you have in Silicon Valley the most productive automobile factory in the world, Elon Musk's Tesla. And I've become a student of Elon and Tesla and SpaceX in the last year, just voraciously reading in and learning what I can. But what's amazing about him is he didn't build a car. He took over a car factory that had been there for 50 years and has outproduced every other car company in America by changing the whole process. He just bought the land, so he's continued to build there as well as open other factories. So the idea of something, and his whole philosophy is to kind of design something from scratch rather than copy and keep incrementally improving things. So I would say the same thing with your business. That's what I did. My changeover from, I was in management and recruiting as a manager and coaching to production about 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago. And the downside was it wasn't the ideal career path. The upside was I had no listings, no leads, no buyers, and I had designed my business from scratch. So I wanted to build a business that was spread out geographically. And I designed my business to not have to see properties, to be anywhere, to only work Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Yeah. And so I designed it that way from scratch. And I would urge you to think about the same thing for yourselves.
Okay. And then do you do anything with probate lawyers?
Yeah. Like what?
I don't know.
I talk to them every day.
Okay.
Do I do anything with them? I'm not sure I understand your question.
Well, I guess marketing.
Well, okay. So that's a whole complicated answer. I'll give you a couple minute version here, which is that you have to market appropriate to the target. Not only do attorneys, nobody likes to be sold. Attorneys hate being sold to.
Yes. So
you have to sell them in a way that you're not selling them. So you want them to, I think the way I would think of it is it's kind of like I was never a pretty girl in my life, but imagine if I was a really pretty girl with a really great figure, you want to show a little bit, but you want them to think about what the rest looks like. So that's kind of my idea of marketing. So for example, almost all attorneys are on LinkedIn. So I want them to see, my gosh, this guy is interviewing attorneys all the time. This guy's interviewing people in probate all the time. Like, what the hell does this guy know about probate law? And then they get interested and go, wow, you really know what you're talking about. So I think that to answer your question, that's why I've used the video and the interviewing, and I built my channel with the idea that attorneys would see me as an expert. They see me in court as an expert. That's why I always went to court. That's why still this day, I did in the last 2 weeks bid on properties for clients in San Diego and Orange County via video, because number one, that's a long drive for me. And number two, I have some personal things going on. My wife is sick. And so leaving for 3 or 4 hours wasn't an option for me in those 2 days. But I'll say that whenever I had the chance to go to court, I love to go to court. If it works out like LA court, I'm planning to go a couple times here in the next few weeks, because not only do I go to court, but the judge sees me and the attorney sees me. And I got to tell you, I've learned how to speak in front of judges to where there was a little bit of a conflict, and I answered the judge a certain way where he turned to the attorney and said, do you have an argument with that? And the other attorneys all no. So, or the attorney, I'm not an attorney, where they're trying to push my buyer out, I got my buyer pushed in the deal. So I would say that you have to think about who you're trying to market to. I want attorneys to think, I'm not a realtor, I'm a probate specialist. I happen to sell real estate to get paid. Hope that helps.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Gil. Okay, other questions? I'll go through the chat box. Seeds have future seeds. Yes, that's true. And that's the beauty of referrals, to just go back to my comment on looking at referrals like seeds. Ursula says she passed on looking up in the dictionary. Yeah, I mean, I think it's just good parenting advice. So we're on the same page there. Donna says she goes to the yearly REMAX convention and meets new agents for referrals. What's the best way to get top referring agents? You know, Donna, that's a great question.
Yeah, because I've got a bunch that I tried to refer last year and they didn't even bother to call me back. So it's
Right.
frustrating.
Right. It's frustrating. So if you ever go to Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within, one of the things he teaches is frustration that we think of as a negative. It's a good thing. It's a sign that you're trying to grow. And so what he does in his seminar, when anytime anybody says, I'm frustrated, he'll turn to the audience and say, she's frustrated. And then the audience will give him a standing ovation because it means you're making the effort. So good for you. Congratulations on making the effort enough to get frustrated. And I think the question I would ask you is, however many agents you connected with at your convention, if you connected with, let's say, 10 times more, do you think you get more referrals?
Yes, probably.
There you go. So try that. And if that doesn't work, just do 10 times more. I mean, I think part of it is we assume, oh, I met 30 agents and I get referrals. When I was a recruiter, I mean, the owner hired me. I was a top agent. My coach was coaching me, and he sucked me into being a recruiter for his company. It was interesting. I learned a lot, good experience. But he gave me a business plan and said, well, all you have to do is talk to 10 agents a day and blah, 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 and you hit your financial goals. And at the end of 3 days, I realized not only was I nowhere near my goals, but the other coaches that were there were also failing miserably. And so I did some math and realized, well, I can achieve my goals if I talk to 40 agents a day as a recruiter. And lo and behold, I think my numbers proved out I was the number one recruiter at that time at Century 21 for 4 of those 5 years, because I just talked to more people than all the other people did combined. So at some point, it becomes a numbers game. There's numbers and there's effectiveness. One thing I do, not only do I talk to a lot of agents in my company, but also how effective am I? I want to be seen within my company as the probate expert. So I'm not just an agent in LA, and not just, I'm trying to present, I'm not just a probate agent in LA, but I want them to think of me as I'm the probate expert nationwide. Call me if you have a probate question, I'll figure out where to send it to. So I think you want to, just talk to more people and then think about how you can be more effective in talking to more people. Okay, Sherry's next. Hand up. Thank you, Sherry. Let's bring you in. What's up, Sherry?
So I met with a financial advisor and a woman this morning. The probate ended. She is the executor. All of that has been wrapped up. Her fiance named her in the will. So she has inherited his property, some vacant land that's commercial land, but his mother had passed away. And so she's also inherited the property that he inherited from his mother. And that's the one that is coming with extra baggage. It's several hours outside of Houston. He was paying for his mother's caretaker to continue living there. She allowed her son and grandson to move on to the property. Someone's living in the storage shed, someone's living in the pop-up camper. And they don't really respect her because she's not really a family member. She's the fiance.
Right.
So then the lender is not recognizing her, even though she has the executor's deed. So with it being so far out of town, she's got some health issues coming up. I'm trying to find the most efficient way for us to get out of that cycle where the lender is saying you need to send this, and she does, and then she gets someone the next time she calls and they still are not recognizing her. Do you have any suggestions on that?
Well, just a couple quick things to start off with, just for vocabulary purposes. A female executor is an executrix, just because it's kind of fun to say. When you said the probate is done, do you mean that she got the letters, or she's completed the probate and everything's been distributed?
Everything has been distributed.
Okay. And also, when you say that he named her, you want to use the language, be specific. He named her as the executrix, or he named her as the beneficiary? I think you meant named as the beneficiary.
Both.
Okay, good. So again, just to get the terminology clear, to use an opportunity for that. So your question is, how does she get on the loan where there's a decedent who has the mortgage? The risk you have is most mortgages have a clause that if the decedent passes, they could call it due. So before you get too far with it, you need to think about, does the mortgage, do you know what the interest rate is in the mortgage?
No, we know that there's $47,000 left. So that's one thing, is that she could just pay that off.
Okay.
And be done with it. But right now they're not accepting any payments from her.
Really? She sends the payment in and they won't take that. And that's odd. And she has the court paper, the court order ordering her as the executrix of the estate. Now the estate's closed, so now she has a deed saying she owns the property and the mortgage is in her name. Yeah, I think the lender, wants the loan paid off, and that's just their strategy, right? They have the right to say, we don't know you. We have this guy on our records, and pay us off. And I think that's not necessarily a legal position. That's just a business decision they've made. And that's how they're telling you the decision they made.
Okay.
But I never heard of a lender not taking payments. That just means they don't want, they know the loan and they want it paid off, and they want to go away.
Right. And so the people that are living there, the caretaker, her son and grandson, they're not paying rent. There was never a lease associated with them being there.
Right.
But so they're not, I don't know, are they squatters? They're not leaving when she's asking them to leave.
Not even squatters. I think that of course, now I'll be careful. I'm in California. Laws are different here than in Texas. In California, you have people who have a lease, and you have people who stay over the lease and are squatting the property as well, or people just show up with no rights at all. These people have no rights to be there.
Right.
The family member might have certain carryover rights, but they have to leave when they're notified. So this is where you need a specific attorney who specializes in eviction in that county will help you. The biggest mistake I see all the time, now you're in Houston, I happen to know a little bit about your market. In LA, I'll have somebody say, oh, I know a great eviction attorney in Orange County. They're not going to know the laws of, say, Torrance. Right. So you want to be specific to that area. And in your case, I would urge you to call the attorney and vet them. Say, hey, I have a client, might need your services, but a couple of questions. They're in blank city, blank county. Are you able to handle that? And you can tell the difference. They'll say yes or no. But you want somebody for sure practices in that county for sure. And then I don't know Texas as well. Do individual cities have their own? Here in LA, every city now has their own eviction rules and their own COVID rules and their own whatever stuff. So that I doubt that's the same in Texas, but if it is, then you need an attorney who knows that particular county and that particular state or city.
Yeah, the town's only 1,200 people. It's very, very tiny, but that's really good advice.
Well, again, just because county is just because city is small, that might be, I don't know, might be reason to make sure you get somebody from that city, because sometimes depends on who handles the court. Is it a county court not in the city, or is it a court in that city? If it's in that city, then you might need an attorney for that city. If the eviction court is in the county, then it probably doesn't matter.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Good luck. Thanks. Thank you. Okay. See, hand up from a guy. I don't think I've ever seen this name before. Some guy named Larry. Let's see. Larry, how can we help you? And he has his sunglasses on, so we don't know who he is, so he can be anonymous. But he's got his unmute button.
Hey, Bill.
Oh, it's Larry Legend, Larry,
Legacy Larry.
Legacy Larry.
Oh my gosh.
Larry Smith, Larry Smith Group. What's going on, Larry?
Yeah. Hey,
I didn't recognize you. You fooled me.
Yeah, I tried to go incognito today. So I'm waiting out here actually in the spirit of providing extraordinary service. I got an out of town seller on a probate deal that has some foundation problems. So I'm meeting a contractor here. So it's something that you would never do, but I'm doing it nonetheless. But that's not what I was checking in on. Last week I shared with you that we have a situation where a client of mine is going through probating his deceased wife's will, but at the same time we're setting up a trust level services, and we don't really have a good trustee, a substitute trustee, and that led us down the path of actually talking to banks that have trust departments. And I don't have a lot of new to add to that other than we had a preliminary discussion. They were very interested in what we do or what I do. And I've been referred to the trust department's vice president to talk about providing trustee level services once this gentleman has passed. He had some specific things he wanted done, and we don't really have anyone that we know or trust that will actually carry that out. And so the attorney thought it would be good to go third party and get a bank that has a trust department to act as a trustee.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's been very interesting. I got a lunch scheduled with one of the referral from that bank over in Addison and Dallas area this Friday. So I will let you know more as I go. I did also talk to another company that specializes in personal trust. And that is a whole different area that
Mm-hmm.
we haven't really talked a whole lot about because when you look at a market like in Dallas, Fort Worth, about, I don't know, I haven't got the exact percentages, but about half the people show up in probate, and the other half, where do they go? And they go because they have trust already in place. And that is a piece of the business that we're not really talking to effectively, I think, is they still need to sell real estate. They still need to take care of all the possessions and stuff. They have the same level of need, except theirs is now more administrative. They're going through a trust and going outside of court, so it goes much faster. But still, it's a market that we haven't really touched a lot, or I don't remember us talking a whole lot about them.
Well, I don't talk about it a lot just because it's very specialized. It tends to be in the bigger metro markets only. And it's like a club. You have this deal, you're now talking to the trust department, you got invited into the club, and you're going to have lunch with somebody in the club, and they look at you. There's a famous Seinfeld episode where Jerry's sidekick. Gosh, I can't remember anything anymore. George used the picture from
Yeah.
Jerry's girlfriend, and he gets into the club because his fiance is the pretty girl. As long as he has a picture, they let him in. He loses the picture. He's not. That's how the trust business is. And you're in the club. I've never been invited in the club. I've seen the club. I know people in the club. I have an agent on my downline who's in the club, and but they're not letting me in. She's not going to because it's her business. My job is to support her. What I can tell you is that when you get, and goes back to my discussion on referrals, when you have the chance to refer business and you refer it to somebody in the club, one of the benefits might be, not always, but might be, certainly it's a chance to audition to get in the club. And so you have that opportunity. And I think by your nature, you recognize that. But for the rest of people on the call, yeah, there's a whole world of trust, third-party trust administration. A lot of that business is routine. You have a trust and you're your own trustee. It's the successor's trustee that's the business. And oftentimes there's, smooth transactions. Sometimes there's litigation, and I do get involved in those when there's litigation, but it's a great piece of business. How do you market to that? I have, a team member who's launching a podcast on that, to how to market to those people. But basically, it's like everything else, it's relationship business. So you have a chance. You got invited into the club, Larry. Just make sure you don't blow it.
Well, I know it's a lot of pressure. He did end the call by going, you and I have a lot of mutual beneficial interest working together, which he brought that up. I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking that, but we'll see. But that's kind of crazy. You never know when this goes, where it's going to go, but hopefully it'll turn into some business.
And I think you'd approach that referral as worth perhaps 50 times more than any other referral. So you want to make sure the customer follows up with them. You want the customer, call me back after you talk to Joe. You talk to Joe, hey, Joe, I see you talk to my customer, how'd it go? You're able to help them. You got to do everything you can. That potential relationship is worth so much to you that makes you treat it appropriately. Okay.
I think that your intro to your referral talk, number one, treating it as more important than the outbound.
Right.
Really timely for me. Good stuff.
Thank you. Thanks, Larry. Nice meeting you, Larry. Larry, I'm not sure your last name, Larry, but nice meeting you for the first time. Okay, Daniel's hands up, and the next is Joyce. Daniel, what's going on?
So I am a newer agent as of last year, and the probate niche chose me because my first and only 2 listings turned into a probate disaster. So this niche chose me, but I've subscribed to all the leads, and I've been doing that December and January, and I literally just got my February this month. I've been doing direct mailers. I haven't done as many cold calls. I will admit that's definitely my downfall. If you were on like kind of a time budget and a money budget, what is more important? Cold calls, mailers, or networking with attorneys?
Mailers is last.
Okay.
If you're tight on money, for sure, then that's no question. And it takes long to build. Let me ask a couple questions. You're new as an agent or new to probate?
Well, I guess new to probate. I mean, the training from you guys was totally phenomenal. And I feel like educated. Like I even know like the local court system. I haven't gone to the court a lot to like network in person, but I still work a full-time job. So just managing like daily operations has been a little bit challenging. But how I thought about this, I started doing direct mailers, and I do it from my own house. So it's like, no offense, but it's half the price to all the leads. If I think you're kind of associated with all the leads. I'm not trying to.
No.
Yeah.
I'm a customer. I pay them money for different things. I'm not associated with any way at all.
Yeah. But
no offense.
So how I explain this is like I've done 2-letter touches to two batches of leads from 2 different months. But I thought of it from the consumer end. If you were a person in my community going through probate, you found an attorney either through a referral or through online reading reviews, and that attorney probably referred to you an agent, but then you get me coming into your life through mailers and maybe 1 cold call. Who would you choose? I probably would go with the referral from my attorney. So I'm wondering if literally this whole referral system, meeting people in person at the courts, networking with attorneys, and you said you joined the bar association. I think, is that like one of the most organic, because I think people are more discerning than ever with just this cold generating and meeting people. I think that whole referral system is so legit, and that's why Chad maybe had a whole different department for that.
Yeah, I mean, boy, there's a lot there to unpack, but I would say that the advantage of cold calling is it gets you in conversation with people. And at the end of the day, even referrals, you have to convert them to a contract by talking to people. So there's a certain inherent advantage. That's why I asked you a question, how long have you been in real estate? So you're a part-time agent. That makes it tough because your hours are limited and you're not doing, if you're a full-time agent making a living and you want to add probate, you already have the talking to sellers kind of down, but now we're adding more sellers and maybe some more motivated sellers to increase your business. In your case, I don't know enough about your background to know, have you talked to enough people to be competent so that if an attorney does refer you a lead, how good are you at just getting a seller who's interested to want to list with you? Yes, a standard objection will be, my attorney referred me to a realtor. Let me tell you the truth. Anybody on the call right now, put in the chat box, what percentage of customers are happy with their attorney in your experience? What percentage of customers, what percentage of families, petitioners, executors, administrators are happy with the attorney representing them? What percentage? Anybody could give an answer on that? Let me scroll down here. 50%? Okay. 10%?
A lot of people think that
80, 95%. Peter says, okay, maybe in Colorado, less than 20%. I'll go with that. I'll go with 10 to 20%. If they're happy with them, that just means they just signed up. They haven't had enough time yet to get unhappy with them. And so I would say to you that I wouldn't let that, yes, that's an objection you're going to get regularly. You need to learn how to deal around that. That's an easy objection. Even if I hate my attorney, well, let me ask you this, Daniel. If I hate my attorney, what am I going to think about the realtor they brought in for me?
Perfect perception. You think they're going to be on the same energy because
probably
matching. Yeah.
Probably. Maybe if they called me, they're impressive and I like them. Maybe average, maybe not. And most agents are lazy and don't really do the follow through they need to. So you're going to get that objection a lot. You need to learn how to deal with that objection. Right. And I think that's where the opportunity is to, I'm sure all attorneys know a bunch of realtors, but I'm a probate specialist. I'll just show you what I can do to help you specifically. When's a good time to sit down with you and walk through all the things I'll do that no other agent's going to do for you.
Okay. I'm going to start networking with attorneys tomorrow. Do you really use that as an entry point, that state exec? Is that one of your?
I don't. I don't.
Okay.
No, I'm not saying against it, and I'm not knocking. I'm just saying I got a business running and I'm doing pretty well, and I don't, I'm just not adding that piece to the puzzle right now.
Well, you're very established, but thank you for your time. Sorry.
Yeah, glad to help. Okay, so Joyce.
Hi, Bill.
How you doing?
I wanted to ask you, when I was talking with an attorney yesterday, he recommended a silent partner trustee from my client. I don't know what a silent partner trustee is.
I don't know what that means either. I've never heard the term before. I don't know what that means. I mean, are they saying to you, find somebody else to be the trustee and you do it in name, but they do the work? I could see where you're going to be maybe they're saying to you, you should be the fiduciary of record, but then you find an administrator that can do the paperwork for you, maybe, or a paralegal. Maybe, I don't know. I'd ask him. I don't know how to answer your question. I'm sorry.
I think I'll just go back and admit my ignorance.
Well, not ignorance. You can tell me, Ben, you're on a show, on a meeting with 51 probate experts around the country, and none of them recognize the term either. So it's not that you're ignorant. It might be a term that they've made up, or they're thinking of it meaning something that's different, or maybe you heard it wrong or something. So yeah, I don't think it's ignorance at all.
I'll let you know what I find out.
Please do. Okay. Hey, it is the 1 o'clock hour. So I'm going to run through some questions real fast. I feel bad. I kind of didn't get to everybody. My question is, how many people, let me see, let me move the spotlight. How many people on the call are using inside and outside salespeople in team setting or hiring outside company. Okay, so I got a question from, I get this one all the time. Vince asked me about how many people use inside or outside salespeople to set appointments for them. Vince, what I'm going to tell you is, I've been in real estate a long time. You can't get other people to set appointments unless you do it. Then you can train them how to do it, and you're there to watch them and manage it. That's the key of the process, just to have, if you could just hire a virtual assistant in the Philippines and they could cold call all leads data and set appointments for you, and you just show up pre-sold, everybody would do it. That's the magic pill every real estate agent's looked for in my career is, can I just get somebody else to do the cold calling and I'll just walk in and do the presentation? And I think the problem is you can't do the presentation well unless you first learn how to communicate on the cold call. So I think you're chasing a rainbow that doesn't exist. That's my feeling. Okay. And Ursula says, Sean, I think this is to Sean, the key to success is being the best realtor or service provider your client customer can afford. Provide that service that you want to others and you'll be branded. Okay, there's a good answer. Trina wants to know how I use it with probate properties. Trina, reach out to me in the EXP Workplace. I'd be glad to share with you a little bit more if appropriate. Terry says that he always has sellers do a Joe inspection. I wish I could get sellers to do it every time and trim it up front and have the buyer buy off on the condition based on the third-party inspection. I think that's great. This goes back to when we started today, which is get inspections done. That's the norm in Northern California. I'm all for it when I can get a seller to do it. Steve Carney points out that Tony says also, frustration is a choice. Yeah, you're right. It is a choice. But again, at worst, I think it's a good sign that you're struggling. Maybe we target the wrong agent for referrals because of real estate success. Real estate time to see who want to pay for a referral fee. So it also says the issue might be finding the right referral source is vetting them a little more deeper. I think she's right there. David asked about getting a website built. I would say I wouldn't spend a lot of time getting your website built. I happen to have one through alltheleads.com. I paid them for it. And I'm with XP and they gave me another website and I had the content crossed over on both, but I don't think it's worth a lot of time. I think we real estate agents will spend time on anything other than talking to people. And the number one thing to generate business is talking to people. So I would say talk to more people and reinvest some of your money in a website. I wouldn't do that until I had too much business. Steve says that Larry, don't know his last name, looks a lot like a windblown Larry. I would say that's true, Steve. Thank you. And he looks like an older version of Guy Fieri from the Food Network. I don't know about that. Okay, I think I got all the questions. If I did, I'm sorry. We went a little long today. I got caught up in a couple of things. Just real quick before we end, this is the alumni call for Probate Mastery for members of the Estate Professionals Mastermind. If you're not a member, these are the additional features available to you. Go to probatemastery.com. You can sign up. If you're here as an alumni, you're also welcome to come back. Anybody who is an alumnus of the Probate Mastery program is welcome to come on the call. We do this every week, Tuesday, 12 noon Pacific, as well as 3 p.m. Eastern time, same time. And then separately, I'm Bill Gross. I'm in Los Angeles, but I host a national call, Probate Weekly. You can go to probateweekly.com. That's Thursdays at 4 p.m. It's free. Love to have you there, as well as I have a Facebook group, Probate Experts, with 2,300 members in that. Love to have you come in there, ask your questions, continue the conversation there. Looking for referrals or questions is a great spot to put them. So again, thank you all for being the call. I know we went a little long today. I'm sorry. We kind of lost track of time. I think it was a good call. I think it was good in a lot of engagement. So thanks for those who participated. Make it a great week. We'll see you guys soon.